Welcome to Monk's Temple. If you're listening, you've already taken the most important step, the step of pausing. You've created a container of stillness amidst the noise of your life, and for that, I honor you. It doesn't matter if you're listening on January 1st, in the middle of July, or on an ordinary Tuesday. What matters is the intention you carry, the quiet, perhaps hesitant, whisper that says, maybe there's another way to be. There's a secret about new beginnings that self-help books rarely mention. The secret is that the pressure to become new can itself become a heavy cloak, woven from threads of old disappointments and future anxieties. We think we need a new version of ourselves, when what we truly need is to meet the version that's already here, the one breathing, listening, hoping in this very moment. I want to offer you a different metaphor today. Not a journey of transformation where you leave yourself behind, but a homecoming. A return to the fundamental aliveness that has been with you since your first breath and will be with you until your last. This isn't about adding more to your life. It's about remembering what's already there, beneath the clutter of striving, beneath the stories of not enough. So, wherever you are, make yourself comfortable. Let the world outside this moment fade into the background. You don't need to achieve anything here. You only need to listen, and to breathe. Let's begin with a simple, grounding practice. Feel the weight of your body wherever it's supported, the chair, the floor, the bed. Notice the sensation of the air as it enters your nostrils, cool, and leaves, warm. Do this for 3 cycles of breath. In, and out. In, and out. In, and out. Welcome. You have arrived. If this journey to a kinder inner world has touched something in you, if you feel the resonance of a more compassionate way of being with yourself, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. And I'd be honored to continue walking it with you. Our culture loves the idea of the blank slate. New year, new you. We are sold the fantasy that we can, and should, erase the past and start over. But this is a subtle form of violence against our own history. It asks us to disown our scars, our lessons, our weathered and beautiful humanity. A more compassionate and truthful metaphor comes from nature, the river. A river is never the same from one moment to the next. New water is constantly flowing in. It carries silt from upstream, leaves from the banks, the memory of rain. It is always renewing, always fresh, but it is also continuous. It doesn't reject the water that came before, it incorporates it, moves with it, is transformed by it. You are that river. Your past is not a mistake to be erased. It is the very water of your being, the current that has shaped your banks. Beginning again isn't about damming the river and trying to dig a new one. It's about noticing that you are, in fact, already flowing. You are already new in this breath. The practice is to feel the current, to trust its movement, and perhaps to steer gently away from the rocks you keep bumping into. I once met a geologist in the Scottish Highlands who studied ancient riverbeds. He showed me how a river that seems to flow straight is actually in a constant, slow dance of meandering. It widens here, narrows there, creates oxbow lakes that become separate pools of stillness. The river doesn't fight its path, he said. It finds its path through persistent, gentle presence. The deepest parts of the channel, where the water runs clear and strong, are called the Cultivate. They are not forced, they are worn smooth by constant, patient flow. Your deepest wisdom, your truest self, is your Cultivate. It's not something you build. It's something you discover by showing up, breath after breath, moment after moment. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a librarian in a small town in the American Midwest. For 40 years, she had been the keeper of stories, other people's stories. She could find you a tale of Antarctic exploration, a volume of 14th century poetry, a manual on fixing vintage radios. Her own story, however, felt filed away in a closed section. She was waiting. Waiting for retirement, for her children to need her less, for the right time to write the novel she'd carried in her heart since college. Her life was a preamble to a book that never started. One particularly harsh winter, a pipe burst in the library's oldest wing. Eleanor was the first to arrive, wading through ankle-deep water to save the rare books. In the chaos, she slipped and sat down hard in the cold water. For a moment, she just sat there, surrounded by floating pages, the emergency lights casting long shadows. And she started to laugh. A deep, unexpected laugh that echoed in the empty library. Here she was, a guardian of pristine order, sitting in a cold puddle amidst beautiful chaos. The profound absurdity of it cracked something open. In that moment, the library transformed. It was no longer a museum of postponed dreams. The shelves became canyon walls. The water on the floor reflected the vaulted ceiling like a still lake. She saw it not as a place of quiet waiting, but as a silent cathedral of human longing, and she was its humble caretaker. Her waiting room had always been the sanctuary itself. She didn't need to leave to start her story. Her story was the caring for these stories. The next week, she began a writing group in the repaired library, not as an expert author, but as a fellow traveler. She began by sharing one paragraph from her own notebook. The beginning wasn't a grand event, it was a damp, cold, laughing moment of surrender. The foundation of all that we will explore is not a complex philosophy. It is the radical, simple act of presence. The Buddha's insight wasn't that suffering doesn't exist. It was that we have the capacity to recognize a dimension of experience that isn't suffering, even while pain is present. He called this the first mantra of the heart. This is a happy moment. Not, this should be happy. Not, this will be happy when X, Y, or Z happens. But the bare acknowledgement, in the field of this present experience, can I find one element that is not on fire? This is not spiritual bypassing. It is the ultimate realism. It is saying, yes, my back hurts. Yes, I am worried about that conversation tomorrow. And also, the tea in my cup is warm. The light through the window is soft. My heart is beating without my asking. Suffering exists in time, in regret about the past and fear of the future. But peace exists in the timeless present, in the raw materials of sensation that are always available. Let's practice this now. We'll use what I call the 3 anchors. First anchor, the breath. Bring your attention to your breathing. Don't deepen it or slow it. Just observe it as it is. Feel the slight coolness at the tip of your nose or the back of your throat on the inhale. Feel the gentle rise of your chest or belly. Feel the natural pause at the top of the breath. Then feel the warm release of the exhale. Do this for 3 breaths. You are not improving your breath. You are making friends with it. Second anchor, the body. Now, widen your awareness to include your physical body. Feel the points of contact, your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair, your hands resting. Scan for any area of obvious tension, the jaw, the shoulders, the brow. Don't try to relax them. Simply say, internally, tension is here. Place a gentle awareness on that spot as you would a hand on a friend's shoulder. Do this for a minute. Third anchor, sound. Now, open your awareness to hearing. Listen to the closest sound, perhaps the hum of electronics, your own breath. Then listen to a sound in the middle distance, maybe traffic, a bird, a voice in another room. Then listen to the farthest sound you can detect, the wind, the distant rumble of the world. Let sound wash through you. You are not listening for anything. You are letting hearing happen. Do this for a minute. Now, take one more full breath, encompassing all 3 anchors, the feeling of breath, the aliveness of the body, the tapestry of sound. This is your ground. This is where, beginning again, always happens. Not in the abstract future, but in this palpable, sensory now. Why does this simple practice matter? Modern neuroscience gives us a compelling picture. Our brain has a default mode network, DMN, a series of interconnected regions that light up when we're not focused on a task, when we're daydreaming, ruminating, worrying, replaying past events. This is the storytelling brain, and while it's essential for planning and creativity, its overactivity is strongly linked to anxiety, depression, and unhappiness. Studies using fMRI scans, like those from Dr. Judson Brewer's lab at Yale, show that mindfulness practices, like the 3 anchors, directly reduce activity in the DMN. They activate the prefrontal cortex, associated with intentional focus, and the insula, associated with interoception, or feeling the body. In essence, you are shifting your brain from its default mode of narrative time travel into a mode of direct sensory experience. You are literally changing your neural circuitry from one that generates suffering to one that registers presence. Furthermore, research on heart rate variability, HRV, shows that present moment awareness increases HRV, a key marker of resilience and emotional regulation. A higher HRV means your nervous system is flexible, able to respond to stress and then return to calm efficiently. It means you are less reactive, more responsive. You are not just thinking about peace, you are physiologically building a body that can embody it. So when you practice returning to the breath, the body, the sound, you are doing profound neural and biological repair work. You are strengthening your mental immune system. You are not just having a spiritual experience, you are engaging in evidence-based emotional hygiene. In the Santa Teresa neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro, there is a street artist named Mateo. His canvas is a long, pockmarked retaining wall that runs alongside a steep, winding stairway. Every month, he paints a magnificent, colorful mural. Birds, faces, geometric patterns that tell a story of the city's soul. And every month, without fail, the tropical rains come, or the sun bleaches the pigments, or the wall's dampness causes the paint to peel and flake away. The mural fades, blurs, returns to a gray, blank slate. Tourists often watch him paint and say, "Isn't it sad? All that beautiful work, just gone." Matteo just smiles. "The beauty is in the painting, not in the staying," he tells them. "If it stayed forever, I would stop seeing it. I would stop feeling the urgency of this moment, this brushstroke. The impermanence is my teacher. It tells me, do not wait. Offer your gift now. Love this color now. Be here now. The wall is always beginning again. So am I." He taught me that our lives are not about creating a permanent masterpiece to be admired later. They are about the vitality of the stroke we are making right now. Our moments of joy, connection, and creativity are like Matteo's murals. Inherently fleeting, and that is what makes them sacred. The fresh start is not the blank wall after the rain. It is the decision to pick up the brush again, today, even knowing the rain will come. Over the next hours, we will explore a framework for beginning again that is sustainable, compassionate, and grounded. I call it the practice of the 3 roots. In ancient wisdom traditions, a tree is often used as a metaphor for life. The visible trunk and branches represent our outward lives. But the stability, health, and capacity for growth depend entirely on what is unseen, the root system. Root 1, the root of aware presence. This is your innate capacity to be conscious, to witness your experience without immediately being swept away by it. It is the still point in the turning world. It's not something you create, it's something you uncover, like finding the sky after focusing on the clouds. This root connects you to the timeless dimension of being. Root 2, the root of nourishing practice. This is the set of intentional activities that water and feed the first root. It's your daily commitment to returning, through meditation, mindful walking, conscious breathing, journaling, or any activity done with full attention. This root exists in time and requires gentle, consistent cultivation. Root 3, the root of sacred community. This is the soil in which your tree grows. It is the network of relationships, teachings, and environments that support your awakening. It can be a formal group, a single friend, the authors of books that speak to you, or even the unseen community of all beings seeking peace. This root reminds you that you do not wake up alone. These 3 roots are interdependent. A strong root of presence makes practice joyful rather than burdensome. A consistent practice root strengthens your innate presence. A supportive community root protects your practice and reflects your own awakening back to you. Over the next sections, we will delve deeply into each one, building from the ground up. Before we go further, let's cultivate the first root right now with a simple, portable practice called the pause button. You can use this dozens of times a day. 1. Stop. In the middle of any activity, typing an email, washing a dish, walking to your car. Just come to a complete physical and mental halt for 3 seconds. 2. Breathe. Take 1 conscious breath in, and 1 conscious breath out. 3. Feel. Drop your awareness into your body. What do you feel? Pressure. Temperature. Movement. Just register the raw data of sensation. 4. Proceed. Then, continue with your activity, perhaps with 1% more awareness. This isn't about creating a special spiritual state. It's about inserting a micro-moment of reality into the stream of automaticity. It's a direct watering of your root of aware presence. Try it 3 times before our next segment. We begin with the first and most fundamental root, aware presence. This is the ground of all being. In the chaos of our thoughts and emotions, we often forget that we are not the chaos itself. We are the space in which the chaos arises, plays out, and subsides. Imagine watching a powerful storm from the sheltered porch of a sturdy cabin. The wind rages, the rain lashes, lightning flashes. It is real, it is powerful, it commands attention. But you, on the porch, are not the storm. You are the aware presence witnessing it. You are dry. You are safe. The storm is a temporary weather pattern within your experience. Your angry thought, your anxious planning, your sad memory, these are all internal weather. They are not you. The part of you that can notice, anger is here, or there's anxiety, is the porch. It is the inner witness. This witness is not cold or detached. It is profoundly intimate and compassionate. It is the part of you that can hold your own suffering without being destroyed by it. It is your Buddha nature, your fundamental awareness, your root of presence. The problem is, we spend our lives identified with the weather. We believe, I am angry. I am anxious. We climb out onto the porch and into the hurricane, letting it drench us and blow us about. The practice is simply the gentle, courageous act of taking one step back onto the porch. Of remembering, anger is happening. Sensations of heat, tension, and rushing thoughts are present. And I am here, aware of it all. Many years ago, I spent time in a silent retreat at a monastery in the mountains of South Korea. One of the most challenging instructions given was a mirror meditation. For 1 hour each day, we were to sit before a small, handheld mirror and simply look. Not to fix our hair or critique our appearance, but to gaze softly into our own eyes, meeting our own gaze with neutrality and curiosity. For the first few days, it was almost unbearable. The mind would immediately launch into commentary, you look tired. That wrinkle is new. Your eyes look sad. Stories from the past would surface, shame, regret, judgments absorbed from a lifetime. It felt like confronting a stranger I was conditioned to criticize. Then, around the 5th day, something shifted. The commentary began to tire itself out. In the silence that followed, I simply saw. I saw the color of my irises, the play of light on the skin, the subtle movement of the pupil. And behind the physical form, I began to sense the sheer fact of seeing itself. The one looking and the one being looked at seemed to merge in the act of pure attention. There was no longer a me looking at a flawed self in the mirror. There was just seeing. Awareness meeting itself. In that moment, a deep, wordless compassion arose, not for myself, but as myself. The witness and the witnessed were not two. The monk leading the retreat later said, the mirror does not judge. It only reflects. Your mind is the judge. When you look without the mind's commentary, you become like the mirror, clear, accepting, reflecting exactly what is. That clarity is your true face. How do we cultivate this witness in daily life, especially when we're not in silent retreat? A powerful and simple tool is mental noting or labeling. This is a technique used in Vipassana and Zen traditions, now validated by cognitive therapy as cognitive diffusion. The process is elegantly simple. As thoughts, emotions, or strong sensations arise, you gently give them a simple, one-word label in your mind. A thought about the future arises, planning. A memory pops up, remembering. A feeling of irritation, anger. A bodily tension, tightness. Even a positive feeling, joy. The key is to do this with the gentle, impersonal tone of a scientist cataloging specimens or a skywatcher naming clouds. You are not saying, *I am planning. You are noting, planning. You are creating a tiny but crucial space between the thought and the thinker. You are moving from fusion, I am this thought, to observation, there is a thought. Research from UCLA's Mindfulness Awareness Research Center shows that this practice of affect labeling, naming emotions, actually diminishes the reactivity of the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and increases activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region of rational assessment. By naming the storm, you are literally calming your own neural tempest. Let's try it for 2 minutes right now. Close your eyes if you wish. Just sit and notice what arises. Every time your attention is captured by a thought, feeling, or sensation, softly label it and return your attention to the breath or to open awareness. Thinking. Hearing. Itching. Anticipating. Wondering. See if you can do this with a hint of curiosity, as if you're discovering the patterns of your own mind for the first time. There are times when the mind's weather is so intense, a gale of panic, a blizzard of grief, that trying to witness thoughts directly feels impossible. The storm is too strong, we are swept right into it. In these moments, the wisest move is to abandon the porch of the mind and retreat to the bedrock of the physical body. The body exists only in the present moment. Your foot cannot regret yesterday. Your hand cannot anxiety about tomorrow. Sensations, pressure, temperature, texture, movement, are always happening now. By placing your attention firmly in the body, you forcibly anchor yourself in the present, pulling your consciousness out of the time-traveling mind. This is a somatic first aid kit. A practice called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique is excellent for this. Name 5 things you can see around you: the lamp, a book, a crack in the wall. Name 4 things you can feel: the fabric of your shirt, the floor underfoot, the air on your skin. Name 3 things you can hear: the fridge hum, distant traffic, your breath. Name 2 things you can smell: the faint scent of laundry, the air itself. Name 1 thing you can taste: the aftertaste of coffee, the neutral taste of your mouth. This is not avoidance. This is intelligent resource management. You are switching the brain's input from the conceptual, story-generating cortex to the sensory, present moment somatosensory cortex. You are coming back into the safety of the here and now. In the swirling, noisy souks of Marrakesh, I found a moment of profound stillness in a small, open-air blacksmith's workshop. The heat was immense, the hammering deafening. The smith, an older man named Yusuf, was making an ornate metal lantern. He would heat a piece of iron in the coals until it glowed orange, then place it on the anvil. His strikes were not frantic or rushed. They followed a rhythm, a deep, centering breath in, a focused gaze, then a precise, resonant clang on the exhale. Breath, look, strike. Breath, look, strike. I asked him how he maintained such focus in the chaos. He wiped his brow and said, "The fire is the mind. It is wild, it consumes, it is dangerous. The anvil is the body. It is solid, it is here, it cannot be moved. My breath is the bridge. If I listen only to the fire, I will burn. If I trust only the anvil, I am cold metal. But when I connect them with the breath, I can shape something beautiful. The chaos becomes the dance." In our lives, the fire is our emotional and mental chaos. The anvil is our grounded, physical presence. Our conscious breath is the bridge that allows us to work with the heat of our experience, to shape it into something meaningful rather than being consumed by it. Yusuf's practice was a perfect embodiment of Root 1, his aware presence, the witnessing consciousness directing the work, was rooted in the anvil of his body and the bridge of his breath. Our exploration of aware presence leads us to a profound and beautiful paradox, a teaching that sits at the heart of many wisdom traditions. We've been speaking of presence within time, being here now as opposed to lost in the past or future. But there is a deeper layer, the dimension that is outside of time altogether. Recall the metaphor of the wave and the ocean. The wave has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It rises, crests, and falls. This is the historical dimension, the realm of time, story, birth, and death. Your personal biography, your goals, your aging body, all exist here. It is real and important. But the wave is also, fundamentally, water. And water does not have a beginning or end. It wasn't born when the wave rose, and it doesn't die when the wave crashes. It simply changes form. This is the ultimate dimension, the realm of timeless, formless being. Your consciousness, the aware presence that witnesses the wave of your life, is more akin to this water. When you touch deep stillness in meditation, when you experience a moment of awe in nature where the sense of a separate me dissolves, you are dipping into this ultimate dimension. You are not just having a calm moment in time, you are touching the timeless ground from which all moments arise. This is the deepest homecoming of the root of aware presence. It's the recognition that what you most fundamentally are was never born and will never die. It is the silent awareness behind the noise, the spacious sky behind the clouds. This understanding doesn't invalidate the real pains and joys of the historical dimension. It puts them in a context so vast it can hold them with infinite compassion. Grief for a lost wave is real and sacred, while simultaneously knowing the ocean remains. Let's practice touching both dimensions with the sky meditation. Find a comfortable seat. 1. Ground in the historical, the weather. Close your eyes. Notice the weather in your mind and body right now. Thoughts drifting like clouds. Emotions passing like fronts of warm or cold air. Bodily sensations shifting like changes in atmospheric pressure. Acknowledge this weather. Label it gently if helpful. Thinking. Restlessness. Calm. Spend a minute simply observing the ever-changing conditions of this moment in your personal history. 2. Shift to the ultimate, the sky. Now, see if you can sense the space in which all this weather is happening. Instead of focusing on the clouds, thoughts, feel the vast, open sky that contains them. This sky is always clear, always present, regardless of whether the clouds are stormy or fluffy, present or absent. Your aware presence is this sky. Thoughts and feelings are temporary formations within it. Rest your awareness in this sense of open, spacious awareness for 2 minutes. You are not the passing weather. You are the sky. 3. Hold both together. Finally, hold both perceptions at once. See the detailed, ever-changing weather patterns of your life within the infinite, unchanging sky of your being. The wave and the water. The personal story and the timeless presence. Sit in this integrated awareness for another minute. This is the fullness of your root of aware presence, capable of experiencing time while rooted in the timeless. We have spent time resting in the ground of being, in the root of aware presence. This is essential. But awareness, like a delicate seed, needs consistent care to grow and flourish in the garden of our daily lives. This is where we turn to the second root, the root of nourishing practice. If the first root is the capacity for presence, the second root is the activity of cultivating it. It is the bridge between the timeless truth of who we are and the time-bound reality of our human lives. Without this root, our moments of clarity remain fleeting glimpses, like lightning flashes in a dark sky. With it, we build a steady, gentle light that can illuminate our path. Practice is not about willpower, grim discipline, or adding another burdensome should to your life. That approach is like trying to force a plant to grow by pulling on its leaves. True practice is more like gardening. You prepare the soil, you plant the seed, you provide water and sunlight consistently, and then you trust in the natural process of growth. Your job is not to create the flower, your job is to create the conditions for the flower to emerge on its own. The most effective practice is often the smallest, most humble one done consistently. A single conscious breath each morning is worth more than an hour of frantic, distracted meditation once a month. We will build on the concept of tiny habits, a methodology backed by behavioral science from researchers like Dr. B.J. Fogg at Stanford. The key is to attach a minuscule new behavior to an existing habit, making it so easy you can't say no. In a quiet studio in the countryside of North Carolina, I met a potter named Sarah. She was teaching a beginner's class, and I watched students struggle with the central, most difficult skill of pottery, centering the clay on the wheel. They would apply force, their hands slipping, the clay wobbling into a lopsided mess. They would get frustrated and start over, often forcing the new lump even harder. Sarah would stop them. "You're fighting the clay," she'd say softly. "The clay isn't your enemy. It's your partner." Centering isn't about forcing something still. It's about finding the point of balance through constant, gentle, corrective pressure. She would demonstrate. Her hands, wet and firm, would embrace the spinning clay. The clay would wobble, and instead of clamping down, her hands would give a subtle, yielding pressure, guiding it back to center. Wobble, correct. Wobble, correct. It was a dynamic dance of constant, affectionate return. "The wheel never stops spinning," she told the class. "Life never stops moving. The goal isn't to get the clay perfectly centered once and for all. The goal is to learn the motion of returning. Your hands learn the feeling of off-center, and they learn the gentle nudge back. That's the practice. Not perfection, but the loving, attentive return, again and again. This is the perfect metaphor for our root of nourishing practice. Our mind will always spin. It will always wobble off into distraction, worry, or habit. Our practice is not to stop the wheel or to achieve permanent, flawless centeredness. It is to learn the gentle, corrective gesture of return. One breath, one pause, one moment of noticing we are lost, and lovingly guiding our attention back. That gesture, repeated, is what builds the neural pathways of mindfulness. It is the practice itself. To build a practice that lasts, it must be personal, sustainable, and integrated. I recommend a 3-tier system, akin to building a pyramid from a broad base to a pointed peak. Tier 1, micro-moments of mindfulness, the base. These are the tiny habits woven into your existing routine. They require less than 60 seconds and are your daily foundation. The wake-up breath. Before you check your phone or even open your eyes, take 3 conscious breaths in bed. The doorway pause. Every time you walk through a doorway, let it be a reminder to stand straight for 1 second and feel your feet on the ground. The red light practice. When stopped at a red light, drop your shoulders and take 1 deep breath. The first bite. At the beginning of a meal, pause to truly look at, smell, and taste the first bite with full attention. The goal of Tier 1 is not deep meditation, but to create a web of gentle reminders throughout your day that repeatedly call you home to presence. It builds the muscle of remembering. Tier 2, the dedicated sit, the structure. This is a longer, formal practice. Start with an amount of time so small it feels trivial, 2 minutes. Set a timer. Sit in a chair or on a cushion. Your only instruction, be present. When you notice your mind has wandered, and it will, hundreds of times, gently label it, thinking, and return your attention to the feeling of your breath. That's it. The magic is not in never wandering, it's in the practice of returning. As 2 minutes feels comfortable, you may gradually extend to 5, 10, or 20 minutes. Consistency, daily if possible, is infinitely more important than duration. Tier 3, the mindful activity, the peak. This is where you bring full attention to a regular activity, transforming it into a moving meditation. Choose 1 activity per week to practice with deep mindfulness. Mindful walking, feel each step, lift, move, place. Notice the shift of weight. Mindful washing dishes, feel the temperature of the water, the slipperiness of the soap, the texture of each dish. Mindful listening, in a conversation, focus completely on the other person's words, tone, and face without formulating your response. Tier 3 integrates practice into the flow of life, dissolving the boundary between meditation time and living time. To make our practice stick, it helps to understand the mechanics of habit formation in the brain. Neurologist and author Dr. Charles Duhigg outlines the habit loop, a neurological pattern governing any habit, good or bad. 1. Cue, a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode. 2. Routine, the behavior itself, physical, mental, or emotional. 3. Reward, a positive stimulus that tells your brain the routine is worth remembering. For a negative habit, like stress scrolling, the cue might be boredom, the routine is picking up the phone, the reward is a dopamine hit for new information. To build a positive practice, we consciously design a new loop. Cue, choose an undeniable existing habit, e.g., after I pour my morning coffee. Routine, insert your tiny practice, e.g., I will feel the warmth of the mug in my hands and take 3 mindful sips. Reward, consciously feel the reward, the moment of calm, the warmth, the taste. You can even say, good, to yourself. This positive feeling etches the new pathway. Your brain doesn't care if the habit is good or bad, it cares about efficiency and reward. By attaching your nourishing practice to a solid cue and ensuring a genuine, felt reward, you are hacking your own neurology for awakening. The city of Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina is famous for its ancient, elegant stone bridge, the Stari Most. During the war in the 1990s, the bridge was deliberately destroyed, shattering not just a structure but a symbol of connection between communities. After the war, a decision was made to rebuild it using the original stones and 16th century techniques. I spoke with an older stonemason who worked on the project. He told me the work was painstakingly slow. Each stone had to be individually cut, shaped, and set. People wanted it done fast, he said. They wanted to forget the brokenness. But the master architect said, the speed of the repair is not important. The quality of the connection is everything. We will do it one stone, one day at a time. He described his daily ritual. He would arrive before dawn, touch the cold, repaired section from the day before, and then focus solely on the one stone in front of him for that day. The shape of it, the fit, the mortar. He wasn't building a whole bridge in his mind, he was faithfully placing one perfect stone. That daily act, he said, was my meditation. It was my repair, not just of the bridge, but of myself. Every stone set was a hatred released, a hope laid down. Our root of nourishing practice is this daily, faithful repair. Our minds and hearts have been damaged by the wars of life, by stress, loss, and conditioning. We cannot rebuild ourselves in a day. But we can show up each morning and lay one stone, one mindful breath, one pause, one act of self-kindness. The cumulative effect of these daily, humble actions is the reconstruction of a life of resilience, beauty, and connection. We are both the bridge keeper and the bridge. In the ancient texts, the Buddha described 5 mental states that commonly hinder practice, called the 5 hindrances. Recognizing them by name can disarm their power. 1. Sense desire, wanting. The mind says, I'd rather be doing something more pleasurable than sitting here. Antidote, acknowledge the desire without following it. Note wanting and return to the breath. Reflect on the deeper peace that comes from presence, which outlasts fleeting pleasure. 2. Ill will, aversion, irritation, resentment, or anger arises about the practice or something else. Antidote: practice metta, loving kindness, briefly. Send a phrase of goodwill to yourself: may I be safe. May I be peaceful. This softens the heart. 3. Sloth and torpor, lethargy, dullness, sleepiness, mental fog. Antidote: energize the senses. Open your eyes wider. Sit up straighter. Take a few deeper breaths. Practice standing or walking meditation for a while. 4. Restlessness and worry, agitation. The mind is frantic, replaying the past or planning the future. Antidote: ground firmly in the body. Do a body scan or practice intense listening to sounds. The agitation needs a wider container. Give it the vastness of sensory awareness. 5. Doubt, uncertainty: is this working? Am I doing it right? Maybe this isn't for me. Antidote: see doubt as just another thought, not truth. Remember your intention. Reflect on times when presence felt genuine, however brief. Trust the process, not the fluctuating commentary about it. When any hindrance arises, simply name it. Restlessness is here. By naming it, you are already practicing. You are the sky noticing the storm cloud. The practice is not to have a clear sky, but to know you are the sky regardless of the weather. To close our exploration of the root of practice, let me offer a powerful, gentle practice for the end of your day, the evening review. This is not a harsh critique, but a mindful composting of the day's experiences to nourish tomorrow's growth. 1. Settle. Find a quiet spot for 5 to 10 minutes before bed. 2. Gratitude. Recall 1 or 2 specific things from the day you feel grateful for. Savor the feeling. 3. Learn. Ask, what did I learn today? Not intellectually, but about your own heart, your reactions, your capacity. I learned I snap when I'm hungry. I learned that a walk clears my head. 4. Release. Bring to mind 1 moment of difficulty or regret. Without judgment, replay it in your mind. Then, imagine placing it in a basket, and mentally offer it up to be composted, transformed by time and wisdom into learning. Breathe out with the intention to let it go for now. 5. Intention. Set a simple, positive intention for tomorrow. Not a goal, but a quality: gentleness, curiosity, ease. This practice waters the seeds of gratitude and learning while pruning the weeds of rumination. It turns your day into fertile ground for the next day's beginnings. We have tended to the inner soil of awareness and built the gentle rhythms of practice. Now we come to the third, and often most overlooked, essential root, the root of sacred community, or Sangha. This is the living soil in which our individual tree grows. In our hyper-individualistic culture, we often believe awakening is a solo journey, a lonely climb up a mountain of self-improvement. But the Buddha was unequivocal: spiritual friendship is not merely helpful, it is the whole of the holy life. Why? Because the mind is a master of self-deception. It can turn spirituality into another ego project, another achievement. It can mistake solitude for isolation, quiet for stagnation. Community acts as a mirror. It reflects back to us our blind spots, our growth, and our shared humanity. It reminds us that our struggles are not unique pathologies, but part of the human condition. When we sit with others in silence, we feel the collective field of intention, a palpable energy that supports our individual focus. When we share our journey, we give language to the ineffable and normalize the path. Sangha is not necessarily a formal Buddhist center. It is any gathering of people committed to waking up, to living with more awareness and compassion. It could be a weekly meditation group, a book club reading wisdom literature, a friend you walk with in mindful silence, or even an online forum where you engage sincerely. Your Sangha is your ecosystem of awakening. It provides the nutrients of encouragement, the pollination of diverse perspectives, and the shelter of shared understanding during life's storms. In the Pacific Northwest, there exists an old-growth forest that taught me more about community than any textbook. Beneath the towering Douglas firs and cedars lies a hidden network, the mycorrhizal network. Through vast, microscopic fungal threads connecting tree root systems, the forest communicates. A tree being attacked by pests can send chemical signals through this wood wide web to warn neighboring trees. A strong, sun-fed tree in a clearing will shunt sugars through the network to nourish a seedling struggling in the shade. When an ancient tree falls, it continues to feed the network for decades as a nurse log, supporting new life from its own decay. Scientists call this network a superorganism. The forest is not a collection of individual trees competing for sunlight. It is a cooperative, intelligent community. The mighty trees at the edge protect the younger ones in the interior. The deep roots of some stabilize the soil for all. Their strength is not in isolation, but in interconnection. Our Sangha is our mycorrhizal network. When you are strong and centered, your peace nourishes others silently, just by your presence. When you are struggling, you can draw strength from the collective reservoir of mindfulness held by the community. Your practice is not for you alone, it becomes part of the shared nutrient exchange of awakening. You are both the ancient tree offering support and the seedling receiving it, sometimes in the same moment. This root of sacred community reminds us. Your healing is not separate from the healing of the world. As you root down into your own awareness, you naturally become part of this vast, supportive network of conscious life. You may think, I don't have a community like this. The beautiful truth is you can cultivate it in 4 directions, starting exactly where you are. 1. The Sangha of Inspiration, North. The teachers. This includes authors, speakers, podcasters, and historical figures whose words resonate with your heart. Create a Sangha shelf of books. Have a playlist of talks that feel like coming home. This vertical connection to wisdom lineages across time is a foundational form of community. 2. The Sangha of Peers, East. The companions. These are your fellow travelers. This could be one friend who agrees to a weekly mindfulness check-in call, or a local meditation group. The key is regularity and shared intention. You are not forming a social club, but a mutual support group for practice. A simple text to a friend saying, "My intention today is patience," can create a powerful bond of accountability and care. 3. The Sangha of Service, South. the recipients your community expands outward through acts of conscious service. Volunteering at a shelter, helping a neighbor, or even offering full presents to a cashier, these are ways you practice with the wider world as your Sangha. You see the divine in the stranger, and in serving them, you strengthen your own roots. 4. The Sangha of Nature, West, the earth. Never underestimate the community of the more than human world. The steady oak tree, the flowing creek, the daily sunrise, these are unwavering companions on the path. Sitting with a tree, you learn stability. Walking by water, you learn flow. This silent Sangha teaches acceptance, impermanence, and interdependence without a single word. Your complete Sangha body exists at the intersection of these 4 directions. You don't need a formal membership. You need intentional connection in these spheres. To actively cultivate the heart connection of Sangha, let's practice a form of metta, loving kindness, meditation directed at your community circles. We will move through 4 phrases, expanding the circle of care. Settle into a comfortable position. Bring to mind the felt sense of goodwill, like the warmth of the sun. For yourself, the center, may I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Feel these wishes emanating from your own heart, filling your own being. For a benefactor, the North, think of someone who has inspired or helped you, a teacher, a mentor, an author. Hold them in your heart. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. For a friend, the East, bring to mind a dear friend or a fellow traveler on the path. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. For a neutral person, the South. Someone you see regularly but don't know well, a barista, a mail carrier. Wish them well. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. For all beings, the West, expand your awareness to include all living creatures, the forests, the oceans, the earth itself. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease. This practice does not just generate positive feeling, it neurologically reinforces your sense of interconnection. It actively builds your root of sacred community from the inside out, reminding you that you are part of a vast, living whole. We have explored each of the 3 roots individually: aware presence, nourishing practice, and sacred community. But their true power is revealed not in isolation, but in their dynamic interplay. Imagine a symbol from ancient Celtic art, the triskelion. It is a figure of 3 interconnected spirals, turning around a central point. It represents perpetual motion, progress, and the unity of body, mind, and spirit. Your 3 roots form a living triskelion. Aware presence, the central point, is the still, knowing center. Nourishing practice is the spiral of action, the daily gestures that orbit the center, drawing their meaning from it. Sacred community is the spiral of relationship, the field of connection that both supports and is nurtured by the other 2. They turn together. A moment of deep presence inspires you to practice. Your consistent practice makes you a more stable, compassionate member of your community. The supportive community gives you the resilience to return to practice when you fall away, and to rest in presence when you are weary. Integration is not about achieving perfect balance every day. Some days, the spiral of practice may be more prominent. You have a long meditation, a mindful walk. Other days, the spiral of community may lead. You support a friend, attend a group. But the center of aware presence is always there, the anchor point from which all activity unfolds. The goal is not to give equal time to each, but to cultivate a fluent relationship between them, so you can draw on the strength of the whole system in any moment. To understand this integration, consider a jazz trio in a dimly lit club in New Orleans. There's a pianist, a bassist, and a drummer. Each is a master of their instrument, their individual practice. Each has deep knowledge of music theory and tradition, the community of the jazz lineage. And in performance, they must each be profoundly present, listening, feeling, responding in the moment. The magic happens in the space between them. The pianist begins a melody, rooted in the chord structure, the shared ground of community. The bassist doesn't just play the notes. He listens to the spaces in the piano line and fills them with a walking bass that both supports and converses. The drummer feels the emotional tone. Is it wistful, joyful, and responds with brushes or sticks, adding texture, not just rhythm. They are not playing the same thing, they are playing with each other, creating something that none could create alone. There are solos, emphasis on individual practice, but they always return to the shared theme, community. Guided by the immediate, nonverbal communication of the moment, aware presence. Your life is this improvisation. Your roots are your instruments. Some days you take a solo on your practice. Other days, you lay down a steady bass line of support for your community. But you are always listening, always present, always contributing to the unique, unrepeatable song of this day. Integration is this harmonious play. Here is a simple, powerful practice to integrate the three roots into the flow of your day. It takes 3 minutes, done once or twice daily, perhaps at lunch and before bed. 1. Root 1 check, aware presence, 1 minute pause. Ask, where is my attention right now? Feel your breath. Feel your body. Name one thing you see, one thing you hear, one thing you feel. Come fully into the now. This centers the triskelion. 2. Root 2 check, nourishing practice, 1 minute ask. Have I watered my practice today? Did I take a mindful breath? Did I pause before reacting? Did I do my short meditation? If yes, acknowledge it. If not, without judgment, resolve to do one tiny practice in the next hour, one conscious breath at the sink. This turns the spiral of action. 3. Root 3 check, sacred community, 1 minute ask, how have I connected or given today? Did I offer a kind word? Did I truly listen? Did I feel gratitude for my teachers or the earth? If you feel isolated, can you send a silent wish for well-being to someone you'll see later? This activates the spiral of relationship. This triad check-in is not an audit, it's a gentle touch point. It weaves the three roots into the fabric of your day, ensuring none are completely forgotten and that they remain in relationship with each other. We've built a stable framework with the 3 roots. Now, we enter the fire of practice, working directly with difficulty. This is where theory meets the raw, trembling truth of our lives. It's easy to be present when the sun is shining and the mind is calm. The real transformation happens when the storm hits, when anger flares, grief washes over us, or anxiety tightens its grip. In these moments, our practice is no longer an abstract concept, it is a lifeline. The Buddha's first noble truth is often translated as, life is suffering, but a more accurate translation is, there is suffering. It is not a condemnation of life, but a clear-eyed acknowledgement that difficulty is an inherent part of the human experience. The path is not about avoiding suffering, but about changing our relationship to it. Our habitual relationship is one of resistance. This shouldn't be happening. Make it stop. This resistance is the second arrow, the pain we add to the initial difficulty with our judgment and struggle. The practice is to learn to meet difficulty not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a messenger. Anger might be signaling a violated boundary. Grief is the price of love, the acknowledgement of profound value. Anxiety is often the body's alarm system for a perceived threat. When we turn toward these experiences with curiosity instead of fear, we begin to listen to their intelligence. We stop fighting the wave and learn to surf. On the island of Murano, Venice, generations of glassblowers have mastered an art that is a perfect metaphor for working with difficulty. The glassblower gathers a molten glob of glass, a chaotic, glowing, 1,200-degree mass on the end of a blowpipe. This is raw, unformed emotion, angry, hot, dangerous. If the glassblower panics and tries to force it into shape immediately, the glass will shatter. Instead, the master does something counterintuitive. They first marver the glass. Roll it on a steel table to cool the surface slightly and create a skin. This is the practice of grounding and containment. They bring the intense heat into contact with a stable, cool surface, the body, the breath, just enough to create a workable boundary. Then, they work with the heat, not against it. They constantly rotate the pipe, maintaining equilibrium so the glass doesn't droop or become lopsided. This is equanimity. The balanced, continuous awareness that holds the experience without being pulled off center. They apply breath strategically, gently expanding the interior space. This is compassion, the soft, internal pressure that creates room for transformation. Finally, they use tools not to crush the glass, but to guide it, tweezers to pull a shape, paddles to flatten. This is wise action, the conscious response, informed by the material itself. What emerges from this dance with the heat is not the absence of heat, but the heat transformed into breathtaking, delicate beauty. Your difficult emotions are that molten glass. Your practice is the skill of the glassblower, to contain, to balance, to breathe into, and to guide with wisdom, trusting that the heat itself is the agent of transformation. A clinically supported mindfulness tool for this work is the RAIN practice, developed by psychologist and meditation teacher Dr. Tara Brach. It's a 4-step first aid protocol for emotional storms. R. Recognize. This is the crucial first step of stopping the automatic pilot. Name it to yourself: this is anger. This is overwhelm. This is sadness. You are placing the experience on the workbench of your awareness. Allow. This is the radical move of ceasing resistance. You might say internally, it's okay. This can be here. This is not agreeing with the content, e.g., it's okay that they hurt me. But allowing the feeling itself to exist without trying to push it away. It is the marveling table. I allow this feeling of anger to be present. I investigate with kindness. Now, bring a gentle, scientific curiosity to the experience. Where do you feel it in the body? Is it heavy, sharp, hot, tight? What is its texture? Is it changing? Ask it, what do you need, without demanding an answer. This investigation shifts you from being lost in the emotion to being interested in it. N. Nurture or non-identification. The final step has two facets. Nurture, offer what is needed. It might be a hand on your heart, a kind phrase, "It's so hard right now," or the imagined presence of a loving being. Non-identification, see the emotion as a passing weather pattern in the vast sky of your awareness. Remember, this is anger, but I am not only anger. This is a feeling, and I am the awareness knowing the feeling. Practicing rain in the midst of difficulty is how you apply the three roots in real time: your aware presence, recognize, allow, your nourishing practice, investigate, and the inner sacred community of your own compassion, nurture. We now turn from working with difficulty to actively cultivating the most beautiful landscapes of the human heart. In the Pali tradition, these are called the Brahmaviharas, the sublime abodes, or divine dwellings. They are not passive feelings we hope to stumble upon, but active, trainable qualities of heart that can become our home. They are loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. Think of them as the four pillars of an unshakable inner temple. Metta is the open, welcoming door, unconditional friendliness. Karuna is the hearth where the fire of care burns, warming those who are cold. Mudita is the windows, open to the joy and success of others, letting in light. Upekkha is the strong, deep foundation, balance that remains steady through all seasons. Together, they form a complete ecology of the awakened heart. We will explore each, not as mere concepts, but as practices that rewire our neural pathways for resilience and connection. Loving kindness, metta, is often misunderstood as a sentimental emotion or an obligation to like everyone. It is neither. Metta is best understood as unconditional friendliness or benevolent wish. It is the intention for well-being, directed first toward oneself, then radiating outward. It is the radical decision to meet life, and yourself, not with hostility or indifference, but with a fundamental attitude of, "May you be well." The classical practice involves silently repeating phrases, but the essence is the cultivation of a felt sense of warmth and goodwill in the heart center. We begin with ourselves because, as the teacher Sharon Salzberg says, you can't share from an empty cup. If the phrases feel false at first, may I be happy, that's normal. We are planting seeds in hardened soil. The practice is the watering. A modern metta practice, the friendliness breath. 1. On the in-breath, silently say, breathing in, I receive kindness. 2. Feel the breath itself as a carrier of goodwill, nourishing your body. 3. On the out-breath, silently say, breathing out, I offer friendliness. 4. Imagine exhaling a sense of warmth and safety into the space around you. Do this for 10 breaths. This pairs the innate rhythm of the body with the intention of the heart, making metta visceral, not just verbal. Compassion, karuna, is the heart's natural response to suffering, our own or another's, coupled with the wish to relieve it. It is metta in action, meeting pain. Crucially, compassion is not pity, which creates distance, and not empathy burnout, where we drown in another's pain. True compassion rests on the 2 wings of the bird, the wing of tenderness, feeling the pain, and the wing of wisdom, knowing you are not that pain, and knowing what skillful action to take. Neuroscience shows that compassion training increases activity in brain networks linked to love, affiliation, and reward, the ventral striatum and septal area. It literally feels good to be compassionate, creating a virtuous cycle. Practice, compassionate hand on heart. When you notice suffering, your own stress, a friend's grief, a stranger's struggle, pause. 1. Gently place your hand over your heart. Feel the warmth and pressure. 2. Acknowledge the suffering simply, this is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. 3. Offer a compassionate phrase, may this pain be held in kindness, or may you find peace. 4. Breathe into the area under your hand for 3 cycles. This practice anchors compassion in the body, moving it from a concept to a somatic reality. It is a direct watering of your own root of nourishing practice that simultaneously extends the reach of your sacred community. The third Brahmavihara is perhaps the most challenging and liberating, mudita, or sympathetic joy. This is the capacity to feel genuine happiness at the success, good fortune, and happiness of others. It is the direct antidote to envy, jealousy, comparison, and resentment, the poisons that so often contaminate our relationships and steal our own peace. In a culture of scarcity and competition, our default setting is often to see another's win as our loss. Mudita flips this script. It operates on the radical understanding of non-separation. If we are all interconnected, like neurons in a vast neural net or trees in the mycorrhizal network, then another's joy is not separate from our own. Their happiness adds to the total amount of well-being in the field we all share. Celebrating them is, in a very real sense, celebrating an aspect of life itself. Cultivating mudita is a practice of mental fitness. It strengthens the joy muscle. Start small and be honest. It might feel impossible to feel joy for a rival's promotion. Begin with someone you easily love, a child, a dear friend. See their smile, hear their good news, and consciously let a feeling of gladness arise. Your joy is my joy. Practice the mudita pause. When you encounter someone's good fortune, a social media post about a wedding, a colleague's praise, a friend's new car, pause the automatic scroll of your mind. 1. Stop. Don't just like and move on. 2. Visualize. Briefly picture them experiencing that happiness. See their face. 3. Feel. Locate a physical sensation. Does your heart warm? Do the corners of your mouth lift? Even a flicker counts. 4. Wish. Silently add, may your happiness continue. May it grow. This 10-second practice begins to rewire the habitual comparative mind into one that finds nourishment in shared celebration. The fourth and culminating Brahmavihara is upekkha, or equanimity. This is often misconstrued as detachment, coolness, or indifference. Nothing could be further from the truth. True equanimity is balanced, wise heart. It is the capacity to care deeply without being swept away by attachment or aversion. It is the deep, stable foundation that allows the other three qualities, love, compassion, and joy, to flow freely without burning out. Imagine a master sailor on a vast ocean. The sailor feels the wind, the conditions of life, cares for the boat, their life, and has a destination, their values. When a storm, difficulty, rises, they don't curse the ocean or try to stop the waves. They don't jump overboard in despair. They adjust the sails, steady the rudder, and ride it out with skill and presence. They are fully engaged, yet not at war with reality. This is equanimity. Equanimity is rooted in the wisdom of impermanence and limited control. We understand that all experiences, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, are arising and passing due to causes and conditions. We do our part, our practice, our skillful action, and then we let go of demanding a specific outcome. This is not passivity, it is intelligent engagement without the exhausting strain of forcing life to conform to our preferences. Practice the equanimity phrase. In moments of grabbing, craving, or pushing away, aversion, offer this classic phrase from the insight meditation tradition. Asterisk, all beings are the owners of their karma. Their happiness and unhappiness depend upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. Asterisk. This isn't cold, it's profoundly respectful. It acknowledges the dignity and agency of others, and yourself, releasing the arrogant burden of thinking you are responsible for fixing everyone's life. It frees you to love fully while respecting the unfolding of each person's unique path. Pair it with a physical sense of grounding, feet on floor, spine straight, to build the somatic architecture of balance. These four qualities support each other in a beautiful cycle. Metta, loving kindness, opens the heart. From that openness, we naturally feel karuna, compassion, when pain is present, and mudita, joy, when happiness is present. Upekkha, equanimity, provides the spacious, balanced container that prevents compassion from becoming overwhelmed and joy from becoming clinging. Think of them as a gardener's tools. Metta is the sun, the general warmth that allows everything to grow. Karuna is the water given to parched plants. Mudita is the delight in the blooming flowers. Upekkha is the acceptance of the seasons, pruning in fall, patience in winter, knowing you cannot force a rose to open. A simple integrative practice is the Brahmavihara scan. In a quiet moment, bring to mind a person. 1. Offer metta, may you be safe and happy. 2. If you know of a struggle they face, offer karuna, may you be free from this suffering. 3. If you know of a success they've had, offer mudita, I rejoice in your happiness. 4. Rest in upekkha, I care for you, and I trust you are on your own journey. This cycle cultivates a complete, mature, and resilient heart, capable of engaging with the full spectrum of life without fracture. It is the ultimate cultivation of your root of sacred community, extending its reach to encompass all beings with wisdom and care. We have cultivated the inner landscape, awareness, practice, community, and an open heart. Now, we bring this cultivation into one of the most potent and challenging arenas of our lives, our communication. Most of our suffering, and much of the suffering we cause, arises through speech and failed listening. Yet, communication is rarely treated as a core spiritual practice. The Buddha placed right speech as a crucial step on the Eightfold Path, not as an afterthought, but as a direct expression of an awakened mind and heart. Mindful communication is not about learning clever techniques to win arguments or manipulate outcomes. It is about alignment. Aligning your words with your deepest intention for connection, understanding, and non-harm. It is the practice of bringing your full aware presence into the space between you and another. When you communicate mindfully, you are not just exchanging data, you are participating in co-creation. You are building, word by word, the quality of your relationships and your shared reality. This practice rests on two pillars: deep listening, the receptive dimension, and truthful speech, the expressive dimension. We will begin with the receptive, for without deep listening, speech is often just a monologue disguised as dialogue. Most of us listen at a very superficial level. Psychologists describe 3 levels. 1. Level 1, internal listening, the autobiographical listener. Here, you are listening primarily to your own inner voice. The other person's words are merely triggers for your own memories, opinions, and stories. You are preparing your response before they finish. The question in your mind is, what does this mean to me? 2. Level 2, focused listening, the conversational listener. Here, your attention is focused on the other person. You hear their words, observe their tone and body language. You are seeking to understand the content of their message. The internal question is, what are they trying to tell me? 3. Level 3, global listening, the empathic listener. This is deep, holistic listening. You listen not only to the words and tone, but to the energy behind them, the emotions, the unspoken needs, the essence of what is being conveyed. You listen with your whole being, ears, heart, and gut. You are present to the person's being, not just their narrative. The question here is, what is happening within them? Mindful communication aims to cultivate level 3 listening as our default mode. It transforms conversation from a transactional exchange into a sacred meeting. I once met a renowned sound engineer in Nashville who worked with legendary musicians. His studio was a temple of sonic clarity. He told me his greatest skill wasn't adding effects, but his ability to listen. Most people listen to the notes, he said. The melody, the lyric, the beat. My job is to listen to the space, the silence between the notes, the breath before the vocal, the decay of the cymbal. That's where the feeling lives. A cluttered mix has no space, so it feels anxious. A great mix breathes. To demonstrate, he played 2 versions of the same soul ballad. The first was the raw track, beautiful, but dense. The second was his mix. It wasn't louder or brighter, it was clearer. You could suddenly feel the yearning in the singer's intake of breath, the sorrow in the space after the guitar line. The emotion was in the pauses he had carved out and honored. Deep listening is like that, he said. You're not just listening for the content, the notes of what someone is saying. You're listening for the silence around it, the emotion they can't name, the need beneath the complaint, the hope hiding in their anger. Your quiet, spacious attention is the mix that allows their true feeling to be heard, even by themselves. 1. The PUSE protocol, before responding. P. Posture. Orient your body fully toward the speaker. Put down distractions. A. Attune. Soften your gaze and relax your own facial muscles. Match their energy level, not their emotion, but their intensity. You understand. Listen to comprehend, not to rebut. Suspend judgment. S. Silence. After they finish, consciously hold silence for 2 to 3 seconds. Let their words land. Breathe. E. Echo. Before offering your view, reflect back the essence. What I'm hearing is, or it sounds like you felt. 2. Listening for the need, nonviolent communication basis. Behind every expression, even criticism or anger, is an unmet universal need, e.g., for respect, safety, connection, autonomy. As you listen, practice silently asking, what is the need here? This shifts your attention from the often unskillful strategy the person is using, yelling, blaming, to the vulnerable need they are trying to meet. It generates compassion instantly. 3. The just listen meditation. For 5 minutes with a partner, practice pure reception. One person speaks about something meaningful. The other's only role is to listen, no nodding, no mms, no questions, no reactions. Just silent, spacious, anchored presence. Then switch. This stark practice reveals how often we interfere with the flow of another's expression with our well-intentioned but egocentric interjections. Deep listening is the greatest gift you can offer. It says, in this moment, you exist. I am here with you. It waters the root of sacred community more powerfully than any words you might speak. Having cultivated the deep, receptive container of listening, we now turn to the expressive, our speech. The Buddha's guidelines for right speech are both profoundly simple and endlessly challenging. They ask us to pass our words through 4 gates before speaking. 1. is it true? This is the gate of factual honesty. Not exaggerated, not minimized, not distorted by our perception. 2. Is it necessary? This is the gate of relevance and timeliness. Will my words contribute something useful to this moment, or am I speaking out of habit, anxiety, or a need to fill silence? 3. Is it kind? This is the gate of heart. Will my words cause unnecessary harm? Kindness does not mean avoiding difficult truths, it means conveying them with care for the other's dignity. 4. Is it the right time? This is the gate of wisdom. Even a true, necessary, and kind word can cause damage if the listener is not in a state to receive it. A word that passes all 4 gates is not just communication, it is a gift. It builds trust, clarity, and connection. A word that fails even one gate often sows seeds of confusion, hurt, or discord. This practice turns every potential utterance into a moment of mindfulness, a direct application of your root of aware presence. The chasm between unskillful speech and right speech is bridged by one thing, the pause. The space between stimulus, what you hear, and your speech, your response, is where your freedom lies. In that space, you can choose to be ruled by habit, reactivity, or by intention, response. Neurologically, when we're triggered, the amygdala, the threat center, fires, hijacking the prefrontal cortex, the rational, compassionate center. This amygdala hijack takes milliseconds. The sacred pause is the conscious intervention that allows your physiology to settle and your higher brain functions to come back online. Practice STOP before you speak. S. Stop. Freeze your next word. Literally, stop your tongue. T. Take a breath. One deep, conscious inhale and exhale. This oxygenates the brain and creates neural space. O. Observe. Observe your inner weather. What emotion is here? What bodily sensation? What underlying need or fear is driving the impulse to speak? P. Proceed with purpose. Now, from this slightly clearer space, ask, what is the most truthful, necessary, and kind thing I can say now? Then speak, or choose silence. This STOP practice is the ultimate integration of your 3 roots, using aware presence, stop, observe, to inform your nourishing practice, take a breath, in service of your sacred community, proceed with purpose. 8 hours 8 minutes and 45 seconds to 8 hours and 20 minutes. The alchemy of difficult conversations. Inevitably, we must have conversations that are charged with emotion, giving feedback, addressing hurt, setting boundaries. Here, mindful communication becomes an alchemical practice, turning the lead of conflict into the gold of deeper understanding. The framework is connection before correction. 1. Affirm the relationship first. Begin by stating your care or your commitment to the relationship. Our friendship means a lot to me, and because of that, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. This creates a container of safety. 2. Use I statements, not you statements. This is the cornerstone of non-blaming communication. Instead of, "You never listen to me," which triggers defensiveness. Say, "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted," which owns your experience. The formula: when, specific, observable event, I feel, emotion, because I need, universal need. Would you be willing to, clear, doable request? 3. Speak to the behavior, not the character. Address the specific action, not the person's essence. That comment felt dismissive, not, "You are a dismissive person." 4. Invite, don't impose. End with an invitation for their perspective. "I've shared my feelings. I'm very interested to hear how this lands for you." This turns a confrontation into a collaborative exploration. This approach requires vulnerability and courage. It stems from the Brahmavihara of Karuna, compassion, for yourself and the other, and is held by Upekkha, equanimity, trusting that truth spoken with care serves the highest good of the relationship, even if the immediate outcome is uncomfortable. We now bring our practice into one of the most pervasive environments of modern life, the digital sphere. Our devices and platforms are not merely tools. They are ecosystems that shape our attention, our relationships, and even our sense of self. Without mindfulness, this landscape can act like a cognitive and emotional wildfire, scorching our attention span, spreading anxiety, and consuming our precious moments. With mindfulness, it can be transformed into a cultivated garden, a place of connection, learning, and intentional engagement. The core challenge is that digital technology is expertly designed to exploit our neurological vulnerabilities. Infinite scrolls, notification pings, and variable rewards, like likes, tap directly into our dopamine-driven reward pathways, creating cycles of compulsive use. This isn't a moral failing, it's a design feature. Therefore, mindful digital living is not about willpower alone, but about designing our engagement with wisdom. This requires applying our 3 roots. Using aware presence to notice our impulses, establishing a nourishing practice of digital boundaries, and curating a sacred community online that supports, rather than depletes, our well-being. We live in an attention economy where our focus is the product being sold. Every app is a marketplace vying for your seconds, your clicks, your engagement. The first step of mindfulness here is to reclaim sovereignty over your attention. You must see your attention not as an infinite resource, but as your most sacred currency, the very substance of your life. Where you place it defines your reality. Practice the micro-fast. Choose one 60-minute period in your day, perhaps the first hour after waking or the last hour before bed. This is your digital fast. Prepare, the night before, charge your phone outside the bedroom. Execute, upon waking, do not reach for any screen. Instead, engage in a Tier 1 practice. Feel your breath, look out a window, savor your tea. Observe, notice the urges. The itch to check, the slight anxiety of missing out. Label these sensations: craving, restlessness. Savor, enjoy the spaciousness of an unfragmented morning. This isn't deprivation, it's feasting on presence. This daily fast creates a clear space for your own consciousness to set the tone for the day, rather than having it set by the agendas of the digital world. Just as we consciously build our in-person sacred community, we must curate our digital one. The online world can be a swamp of comparison, outrage, and misinformation, or it can be a nourishing extension of your Sangha. The principle of intentional following: audit your social feeds and news sources. For each account you follow, ask: 1. Does this inspire or inform me? Does it water seeds of wisdom, beauty, or understanding? 2. Does this connect me meaningfully? Is this a genuine relationship, or just noise? 3. Does this deplete or nourish my energy? Do I feel anxious, angry, or inadequate after scrolling past this? Unfollow or mute anything that fails this test, without guilt. You are not rejecting people, you are protecting the sanctity of your mind. Actively seek out accounts that share wisdom teachings, scientific curiosity, artistic beauty, or constructive ideas. Transform your feed from a broadcast channel into a curated library for your growth. Practice the conscious comment. Before commenting on a post, apply the 4 gates of speech digitally. Is it true? Am I reacting to the actual content, or my projection? Is it necessary? Will my comment add value or just add to the digital noise? Is it kind? Can I express disagreement with respect for the human behind the screen? Is it the right time? Should I pause and return later, or is this a reactive impulse? This turns passive, often reactive consumption into active, intentional participation. We have cultivated presence, practice, community, heart, and communication. Yet, all of this rests, literally, upon a foundation we often neglect or treat as an obstacle to productivity: rest. In a culture that glorifies hustle and burnout, rest is seen as laziness. From a mindfulness perspective, rest is neither a luxury nor a sign of weakness. It is a sacred, non-negotiable pillar of awakening. It is the dark, fertile soil in which the seeds of your daily practice germinate. Without deep rest, your aware presence becomes foggy, your practice feels like a burden, and your connection to community frays. This goes beyond mere sleep. We will explore a spectrum of rest: physical sleep, sensory rest, emotional rest, and soul rest. The Buddha himself emphasized waking up, but he also rigorously practiced and taught the importance of mindful rest, knowing that clarity cannot arise from exhaustion. Let's begin with the most fundamental: sleep. Modern neuroscience has revealed that sleep is not a passive shutdown. It is an intensely active state of neurological housekeeping and integration. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system activates, flushing out metabolic toxins like beta-amyloid, associated with Alzheimer's, that accumulate during waking hours. Think of it as a nightly power wash for your neurons. During REM sleep, the brain processes emotional experiences. It sifts through the day's events, stripping away the intense emotional charge from memories while preserving the learning. This is why sleeping on it often brings clarity. Your brain has literally digested the raw emotion, leaving you with the nutritive insight. Deprive yourself of sleep, and you live with unprocessed emotional residue and a foggy, toxin-logged brain. No amount of daytime meditation can fully compensate for this deficit. Therefore, prioritizing sleep is not separate from your mindfulness practice. It is the foundational practice that makes all other practice possible. It is the ultimate act of self-compassion and wisdom for your root of nourishing practice. To support deep sleep, we must signal to our nervous system that it is safe to transition from doing to being. This requires a conscious wind down, a reverse of the morning's awakening. The 60-minute digital sunset, as discussed earlier, ends screen use at least 60 minutes before bed. The blue light from devices suppresses melatonin production, the hormone essential for sleep. The tea ceremony of letting go: brew a cup of caffeine-free herbal tea, chamomile, lavender, valerian root. As you prepare it, do so mindfully, feeling the warm mug, smelling the steam. With each sip, mentally name one thing from the day you are consciously releasing. I release the worry about that meeting. I release the tension from that conversation. This pairs a calming physiological agent with a mental ritual of release. The body scan for sleep: lie in bed. Starting at your toes, bring gentle attention to each part of your body. Instead of just noting sensation, pair it with a soft intention: toes, soften. Feet, release. Ankles, let go. Move slowly up to the crown of your head. This practice marries body awareness, aware presence, with the direct intention of physiological relaxation, nourishing practice, inviting the nervous system into the parasympathetic rest and digest state. Dr. Sandra Dalton-Smith's research on rest identifies 6 other types beyond sleep. Let's adapt 4 as spiritual practices. 1. Sensory rest, the practice of pratyahara. This is withdrawal of the senses from constant stimulation. Practice: spend 5 minutes in dim light or darkness with eyes closed, simply listening to natural sounds or silence. Or, take a walk without headphones, letting vision and hearing rest from curated input. This allows your aware presence to refresh without needing to process new data. 2. Emotional rest, the practice of authentic expression. This is the freedom to be your authentic self without performing or managing others' perceptions. Practice: spend time with a person with whom you can be utterly yourself, no filter, no need to explain or entertain. Or, journal freely, dumping unfiltered emotion onto the page without judgment. This provides relief for the emotional labor of daily life. 3. Mental rest, the practice of soft focus. This is the state of gentle, diffuse awareness, as opposed to the laser focus of work. Practice: engage in a low cognitive demand activity with full sensory immersion, gardening, knitting, drawing, or simply watching clouds. Let the mind meander without a destination. This is the default mode network, in its healthy, creative state, not its anxious, ruminative one. 4. Soul rest, the practice of all. This is the feeling of connection to something vast and beautiful, putting your personal worries in perspective. Practice: spend time under a night sky, beside a large body of water, or in an old forest. Visit an art museum and stand before one piece that evokes wonder. Awe, studied by psychologists like Dr. Keltner, instantly reduces stress, increases generosity, and creates a sense of being part of a magnificent whole. It is direct communion with the ultimate dimension. Honoring these forms of rest is how you practice metta and karuna for your whole being. It is the deep wisdom that to be a clear channel for peace, you must first be a rested vessel. We now turn to a realm where our practice can become not just a stabilizing force, but a liberating and expressive one, creativity. Too often, we relegate creativity to artists, a special class of people with innate talent. This is a profound misunderstanding. Creativity is not a talent, it is a birthright. It is the innate human capacity to bring something new into being, a thought, a meal, a solution, a gesture of kindness, a garden. It is the dynamic expression of life itself through you. When we approach creativity mindfully, we are not primarily concerned with producing a good product. We are engaged in the process of embodied discovery. The brushstroke, the word, the dance step, the planting of a seed, each becomes a focal point for pure awareness. In the flow of creation, the chattering, judging mind can fall silent, replaced by a direct dialogue between sensation, intuition, and material. This is why people often lose track of time when immersed in a creative act. They have entered a state of unified awareness, a meditation in motion. Therefore, mindful creativity is a direct training ground for your root of aware presence. It teaches you to listen to subtle impulses, to see with fresh eyes, and to act from a place of curiosity rather than fear. It is also a profound nourishing practice for the soul, and when shared, it becomes a gift to your sacred community. The single greatest obstacle to creativity is not a lack of skill, but the inner critic, that voice of judgment that says, "That's not good enough, who do you think you are?" or "That's stupid," before the idea is even fully formed. This critic confuses the creative process with a performance review. To practice mindfully, we must adopt what writers call the rough draft mind. In a rough draft, anything is permitted. Spelling errors, clunky sentences, nonsensical ideas, all are welcome. The goal is not quality, the goal is existence. To get the clay on the wheel, the paint on the canvas, the first line on the page. For 5 minutes each day, engage in a creative act with the explicit rule that no outcome is allowed to be good. Take a pen and paper and make abstract marks, loops, lines, dots, without aiming to draw a thing. Hum a melody without words, recording it if you wish, with no intention of it becoming a song. Write 3 lines of bad poetry about the texture of your morning toast. The instruction to be bad paradoxically liberates you from judgment. You are practicing the pure motion of expression, strengthening the neural pathway that says, it is safe to create. This is metta, loving kindness, directed at your own creative spirit. In a quiet garden in Kyoto, I observed a master of bonsai, the art of miniature trees. His work involved decades of meticulous pruning, wiring, and shaping. I expected his approach to be one of forceful control. Instead, he described it as conversation. He would sit before a tree for an hour, just looking. I am asking the tree, what do you wish to become? Where is your essential line? He explained. He called his pruning technique the listening prune. He wouldn't cut based on a preconceived design. He would observe a branch, feel its energy and direction in relation to the whole, and only then make a single, decisive cut. "The cut is not my will imposed on the tree," he said. "It is my answer to the tree's own whispered intention. I am helping it reveal its own true form, which is hidden by clutter." Our mindful creativity is this listening prune. Our inner critic wants to impose a grand, perfect design from the start, leading to frustration. The mindful creator first sits in stillness with the materials, the blank page, the silent instrument, the lump of clay, and listens. What wants to emerge? Then, our action, the word, the note, the shaping hand, is not an act of forceful creation, but of collaborative revelation with the mystery of the moment. We are not making something from nothing, we are helping something hidden within the field of possibility take form. You don't need a studio to practice mindful creativity. You can bring this quality of attention to any activity, transforming chores into rituals of expression. Cooking is alchemy. Instead of rushing, treat cooking as a sensory exploration. Notice the color of vegetables as you chop, the sound of sizzling, the alchemical change as ingredients combine. Plate the food with a moment of care. You are creating nourishment. Communication as weaving, see a conversation as co-creating a tapestry. Your words are one thread, the other person's are another. Listen for the emerging pattern, and choose your next words to contribute to the beauty and strength of the whole cloth. Problem solving as improvisation. Approach a work or life problem not with grim analysis alone, but with playful brainstorming. Ask, "What if?" without censoring. Doodle possible solutions. You are creating a new neural pathway, a new possibility where none seem to exist. When you engage the world with a creative eye, life itself becomes your medium. You are no longer a passive consumer of experiences, but an active participant in the ongoing creation of your reality. This is the ultimate empowerment born from mindfulness. Seeing that in every moment, you have a choice in how you shape and respond to the world, and that this shaping can be an act of beauty, curiosity, and love. We arrive now at perhaps the most profound and challenging application of our practice, meeting loss, change, and the truth of impermanence. Everything we have built our sense of self upon, relationships, health, careers, possessions, even our own thoughts and feelings, is in a constant, gentle, or sometimes violent, state of flux. The Buddha called this anicca. To resist this truth is to live at war with reality itself, guaranteeing suffering. To open to it is to find a paradoxical, unshakable freedom. This is not a morbid fixation on death. It is a clear-eyed recognition of life's fundamental nature, which allows us to love more fully, not less. When we know the flower is fleeting, we bend to smell it now. When we know our time with a loved one is limited, we put down the phone and truly listen. Impermanence is the mother of appreciation, the engine of growth, and the space in which new beginnings are constantly born from endings. Our work here is to move from an intellectual understanding of impermanence to an embodied intimacy with it. This transforms grief from a pit of despair into a deep, honoring wave, painful, yes, but also clean, true, and connected to the pulse of life itself. Perhaps no ritual embodies this teaching more beautifully than the Tibetan Buddhist practice of creating a sand mandala. Over days or weeks, monks painstakingly place millions of grains of colored sand onto a platform, creating an intricate, breathtaking geometric universe, a palace of wisdom. They work with absolute concentration, a meditation in itself. Upon its completion, there is a celebration. They contemplate its perfection. And then, in a powerful ceremony, they destroy it. They sweep the vibrant sands into a pile, pour them into a river or the sea, returning them to the flow of the world. The masterpiece is gone in moments. I asked a monk once if this wasn't heartbreaking. He smiled. "The heart is not in the holding," he said. "The heart is in the making and the giving." The mandala is a lesson. We build our lives, our relationships, our homes, our identities, with such care. They are beautiful and sacred. But they are also made of sand. To cling is to suffer. To create with love and then release with grace, that is freedom. The river carries the sand to the ocean, where it becomes part of something even vaster. Nothing is lost, everything is transformed. Our lives are this mandala. Our practice is to build them with care, love, and artistry. And our wisdom is to hold them lightly, knowing that the act of creation and the act of release are part of the same sacred cycle. This is the ultimate expression of upekkha, equanimity. A balanced heart that can engage fully without clinging. When loss strikes, a death, an ending, a radical change, the mind's instinct is to flee into the past, regret, nostalgia, or the future, fear, anxiety. The practice, in the raw heart of grief, is to do the opposite, to come fully into the unbearable present. This is not to bypass the pain, but to meet it. Grief experienced in avoidance is like a wound kept in the dark. It festers. Grief met with mindful presence is like a wound cleaned with salt water. It is searingly painful, but clean, and it can heal. Practice, the container of the body. When a wave of grief arises. 1. Stop. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. 2. Ground. Feel your feet on the floor. Grab something solid if you need to. 3. Locate. Where do you feel this in your body? A crushing weight in the chest. A hollow in the stomach. A constricted throat. Place your hand there. 4. Breathe into. On your inhale, direct your breath to that precise location, as if creating space around the sensation. On the exhale, soften. 5. Allow. Let the sensation be there, without needing it to change. You are not your grief, you are the vast awareness that can contain this storm of sensation. Whisper, this too. This, too, belongs. This practice does not eliminate grief. It alchemizes it from a psychological story of my terrible loss into a pure, somatic experience of strong sensation here, now. This shift, while subtle, is monumental. It moves you from being identified with the pain to caring for the pain, which is an act of profound self-compassion, karuna. You become the compassionate witness to your own breaking heart. To find peace with impermanence, we must challenge our limited view of what a self or a life is. We return to the metaphor of the wave and ocean. The wave fears its end, the crash on the shore. But from the ocean's perspective, there is no end. The wave is a temporary formation of the ocean itself. When it dies, it doesn't go away, it returns to its source, its essential nature. What is the ocean in our human experience? It is the stream of cause and effect, the web of relationships, the continuation of energy and matter. The love you gave continues in the hearts of those you touched. The kindness you offered altered someone's day, which altered theirs, rippling outward. The atoms of your body will become soil, nourishing plants, becoming other lives. Your consciousness, the awareness that reads these words, is part of a stream of knowing that began long before you and will continue long after. Practice, writing your continuation legacy. Not a will of possessions, but a document of essence. What values did you live by? E.g., curiosity, kindness. What simple joys did you cherish? E.g., morning light, shared laughter. What lessons did life teach you? E.g., how to forgive, how to listen. What love did you give and receive? Write this not as an epitaph, but as a letter to the present. Read it. This is not who you were, this is who you are choosing to be, right now. It shifts your focus from the fear of an ending to the quality of your ongoing participation in the endless flow of life. Your legacy is not a future event, it is the quality of your present moment being. To live with impermanence is to live with fearless, tender-hearted vitality. It is the final, deep rooting of your practice in the ground of reality itself. As we draw our formal exploration to a close, it is vital to release one final illusion. The idea of a linear path with a fixed endpoint called enlightenment or perfection. This seeking for a finish line is just another form of craving, another way the mind says, I am not enough yet. The true path of awakening is not a straight line from point A, suffering, to point B, peace. It is a spiral. Imagine walking up a spiral staircase inside a magnificent tower. With each full circle, you pass the same window, but you see the landscape from a higher vantage point. The view is familiar, yet profoundly new. You encounter the same old fears, the same habitual reactions, the view from the window of anger, of anxiety, of self-doubt, but each time you meet them, you have more perspective, more skill, more compassion. You are not failing because you see the same view, you are deepening because you see it more clearly. Your practice is this upward spiral. There is no final step where life becomes permanently easy. Instead, there is a growing capacity to be with life exactly as it is, the joy, the sorrow, the mundane, with a heart that is increasingly steady, clear, and kind. This is the path of continuous beginning. Every moment of remembering, every return to the breath after being lost, every conscious choice for kindness is a new beginning on the spiral. You are never behind. You are always exactly at the point of beginning again. So, what does this look like in a single, ordinary day? It is not about doing all the practices we've discussed. It is about weaving the threads of these teachings into the fabric of your life. Upon waking, thread of intention before the world claims you, touch the root of aware presence. Feel the breath. Set a soft intention for the day, not a rigid goal, but a quality. Today, may I be curious, or may I listen deeply. In activity, thread of practice as you move through your tasks, water your nourishing practice with micro moments. The mindful sip of water. The pause before replying to an email. The feeling of your feet on the ground as you walk. Each is a stitch of mindfulness in the day's tapestry. In interaction, thread of community and heart, see every person, the barista, the colleague, the family member, as part of your sacred community. Offer the gift of full attention, deep listening. Let your speech be guided by kindness and truth, right speech. Silently wish them well, metta. In difficulty, thread of wisdom. When stress or strong emotion arises, don't see it as a failure. See it as the place where the tapestry is being woven most tightly, where the pattern is being defined. Use the rain practice. Feel the body. Remember the glassblower working with the heat. In rest, thread of renewal. Honor the need for rest, the digital sunset, the conscious wind down, the permission to do nothing. This is the essential background against which the tapestry's colors shine. In closing, thread of integration with the evening review or a moment of gratitude, tie off the day's weaving. Acknowledge one learning, one moment of joy, one act of courage. Then release it. You are the weaver, the loom, and the tapestry itself. The pattern is not predetermined, it emerges from the conscious choices of each present moment. There is a story of a learned scholar who traveled far to meet a renowned meditation master. For hours, the scholar spoke eloquently about philosophy, debated fine points of doctrine, and listed all the texts he had mastered. The master listened patiently, then silently began to pour tea into the scholar's cup. He poured and poured until the tea overflowed the cup, spilled across the table, and onto the scholar's robes. "Stop," cried the scholar. "The cup is full. It can hold no more." The master set down the teapot. "You are like this cup," he said gently. "So full of your own ideas, your knowledge, your opinions. How can I show you anything? To learn, you must first empty your cup. This recording, these teachings, your own accumulated knowledge, they are all just tea. Helpful, perhaps warming, but ultimately to be tasted and released. Your empty cup is your beginner's mind, the mind that is curious, open, and fresh in each moment. It is the most precious asset you have on this path. Cling to nothing, not even to mindfulness as a concept. Let each experience wash through you, leaving only the clarity of the empty cup, ready to receive the next moment fully. Wherever you are on your spiral path, whatever you carry in your heart today, please hear this. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. You are not a project to be completed. You are a living, breathing mystery, momentarily aware of itself. The peace you seek is not a distant destination. It is the awareness that is reading these words. It is the silence between your thoughts. It is the space in your heart that can hold joy and sorrow with equal tenderness. You have always been here. You will always be here, not as the fleeting story of your name and history, but as the essential, aware presence that witnesses the story. This is your true home. And you cannot leave it, no matter how lost you may feel. The practices we've shared are not meant to build a new home for you. They are meant to help you clear away the clutter, pull back the curtains, and realize you have been home all along, sitting in a quiet room you had forgotten. So, as we part ways in this formal sense, know that the practice never ends. It simply becomes your life, lived more awake, more open, more lovingly. May you trust the spiral of your own unfolding. May you meet each beginning with a gentle heart. May you remember, again and again, that you are already home. Thank you for your precious attention. This is Monk's Temple. Wherever you are welcome, and you are not alone. Begin again now, with this very breath.